Hello friends, my name is Shilpa Kakkar. I am from M.B. Patel English Medium Secondary and Higher Secondary School. Today, I have come back with chapter number 9 of History of Standard 12th. In the previous two parts, we discussed about the struggle for independence, how the constitutional reforms were formed between 1919 to 1935, how after coming back from Africa, Gandhiji took the initiative of getting the freedom from the British rule, which are the different movements he led. Later on, the reformative programs and Rowlatt Act, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement. Even we discussed about the role of revolutionaries during the struggle. Now, in this session, we'll discuss the further topics of this chapter. Simon Commission. You all know that Indians were demanding for the Legislative Assembly, and just in order to make Indians happy, British government appointed an Indian Statutory Commission, which is known as Simon Commission. It was named so because the president of this commission was Mr. Simon. His objective was to recommend constitutional reforms in India. But this commission was not accepted by Indians because all the members of this commission were English, and how could English know or decide the appropriateness or inappropriateness of Swaraj? So, as it was the matter of self-respect, Congress, Muslim League and Hindu Mahasabha opposed the Simon Commission. Many parties prepared a plan for constitutional reforms, and as none of the Indians were the member of this commission, most of the parties, maximum parties, opposed this commission and thereby tried to retaliate the Simon Commission. Motilal Nehru, he published Nehru Report, and it is considered to be the blueprint of Indian Constitution. But it was not approved by Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha and Sikh representatives, and that is why it could not come in implementation. The protest was made against the Simon. Wherever he went, people were protested, and the slogan was Simon Go Back. They took up the hoardings wherever they went. They just said, instead of welcoming, they were welcoming them with the slogan Simon Go Back. Gandhiji knew that people were ready for mass movement from their collective demonstration against the Simon Commission. So, at the same time, he called the remarkable civil disobedience movement. As civil disobedience movement was called by Gandhiji, it was followed by Dandi March. Gandhiji saw that now all the citizens have gathered the strength and they became one, and they have decided to drive British out of India. He understood the public sentiment and geared himself for the phenomenal movement. Congress announced at the Lahore session in 1929. The aim was Poon Swaraj, and it was decided to celebrate 26th January 1930 as Republic Day. That is why, students, we are celebrating 26th January as Republic Day, and unanimously tricolor flag was accepted and approved by most of the Indians, and it became the tricolor flag became the flag of India, and it was unfurled at Lahore. It was resolved that every year 26th January will be celebrated as Republic Day. Not only that, it was decided to hold a movement of civil disobedience, and Gandhiji was going to take the final decision. Mahatma Gandhi's famous Dandi March had been planned as a starting point of agitation. When he planned to go to Dandi, he wanted to cover the distance of 375 kilometers by foot from Ahmedabad to Bhagwa, Dandi, and the date which was fixed was 12th March 1930. Gandhiji started from his Sabarmati Ashram, Ahmedabad, along with only 78 companions to break the British law. A series of meetings were held in the hundreds of villages on the way. He decided to go by foot so that he can show the people that if we'll be together, nobody can stop us. And that is why, as he moved forward, thousands of people from hundreds of villages joined him. And when he reached on 6th April 1930 to Dandi, he picked up a handful of salt at the seashore and signaled the starting of the movement. He gave a symbolic message of freedom to all the Indians by violating the British government's salt law. He said that the British rule is almost curse for Indians. I believe that this system of governance should be abolished. It is my duty to commit treason. As a result of Gandhiji's civil disobedience movement, a revolutionary wave spread across entire India. People from different parts infringed the Forest and Watchmanship Act. The people undertook noteworthy initiatives like strike, protest, and boycott of foreign clothes. Lakhs of people joined Satyagraha. Farmers refused to pay taxes. Thousands of women participated in Satyagraha and picketed foreign clothes and liquor shops. The movement spread up to northwestern India. Under the leadership of Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, who is well known as Frontier Gandhi, made an organization. He formed an organization named Khudai Khidmat Gar. He set up this, and they were known as Red Shirts. He believed in non-violent satyagraha. Ahimsa was a striking event now. People did not want to take any violent step, as they came to know that being violent is not going to give them the fruitful result. When he was at Peshawar, the commander of Gadwal, Chandra Singh Gadwali, and other soldiers decided not to fire on the non-violent revolutionaries. And the British government did not like that. They court-martialed them and condemned them to lifelong imprisonment. However, this incident proved that Gandhiji's ideals and his spirits of nationalism had spread in the Indian army as well, which was the main pillar of the British rule. Thus, the agitation spread throughout the country. At Nagaland, Rani Gaidinlu, she was very young. She was only 13 years and she took part in the revolt, in the movement. But she was defeated by the British, and Gaidinlu was arrested and imprisoned. Lifelong imprisonment was sentenced to her. But later on, she was freed after 1947, and Jawaharlal Nehru took her name, that she will be remembered as one of the most bravest lady who at a very early age took the initiative. She will be remembered as one of the freedom fighters. The government was terribly atrocious with the agitators at that time, including Gandhiji. Many more revolutionaries were arrested. People did not feel bad. They never felt shame to go to jail, as they were going for the sake of independence. After that, round table conferences were held in London, first and second. In both the round table conferences, Gandhiji went. Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed, but Gandhiji was not satisfied with the things they had decided upon. So after coming back from London, Gandhiji restarted civil disobedience movement. The government continued to be oppressive again, and the course of the time, the agitation subsided. But salt satyagraha movement in different parts of the country continued. Gandhiji called for satyagraha at Darshana in Gujarat. After his arrest on 5th May 1930, he gave the leadership to Abbas Tayyabji. When Abbas Tayyabji was also arrested, that leadership was passed to Sarojini Naidu. This showed that even though the leaders were arrested, the agitation continued, the revolution continued, and that too, the non-violent revolution continued. With this thing, British government granted provincial autonomy as per the Indian Legislative Act 1935, and in that At 11 provinces, the leaders were given chance to have the election. In 7 different provinces, they could form the government. At other places, they could not form because the other good parties were there. But still, during that time, from 1935 to 1939, a bit, a small span of time was there in which they have established the government, and they did a good job for the laborers, for the farmers, for the poor people, and for the education, from the primary, higher, and technical education, so that all these things became very important for the Indians to know that how it is beneficial for them have a Poon Swaraj. But with the outbreak of Second World War in 1939, India was involved in the war by the British, and here Indians took this as they opposed this decision of the government. Indians said that how could India be a part of the struggle for others' independence when India itself is not independent. So, the Legislative Assembly members have resigned, and they again took up the charge of revolution. The British government involved India, and that is why in opposition to oppose this, the Congress stated that they cannot be part. The British government refused to accept the demand of Congress and kept its decision unchanged, and that gave the slogan of individual satyagraha. Gandhiji declared individual satyagraha, and Vinoba Bhave was the first satyagrahi leader. The government arrested more than 25,000 satyagrahis and locked them up. As Japan captured Burma via Indonesia, the world war extended up to Indian borders. Under the circumstances, the British government directed the Cripps mission to India, headed by Stafford Cripps, for getting the cooperation from Indians. Cripps declared that they will have a dominant status from the British government. He declined the demand of Congress for immediate freedom to India. Gandhiji called Cripps' proposal as a post-dated check. Even Muslims opposed this. During the war, there was a terrible famine in India, and inflation was also there, which dissatisfied the people. All India Congress Committee held at Mumbai, and a resolution of Quit India was passed on 8th August 1942, and it was decided that the movement will be held under the leadership of Gandhiji. On the very night, the same night, while addressing the Congress office bearers, Gandhiji said, "I want freedom immediately, this very night before dawn. I will not accept anything else than complete freedom." And he gave the slogan, "Do or die. Either we'll put end to dependence, or we will die." As he called Quit India movement, the government arrested him. A self-initiated movement of historic nature had taken shape throughout the country. Gandhiji told people, he addressed people that now you are your own leader. Thus, in this moment, there was neither any leader nor any planned structure. It was a movement run by people for the people. There were strikes in the factories, schools, colleges, government lathi charges were there, gunfiring was there. As a result, people were attacked at places. People even attacked police stations, railway stations, post offices, which were the symbols of British authority. Telephone wires were disconnected, railway tracks were overturned, and government buildings were set on fire. The situation in Madras and Bengal were out of control. Bihar, West Bengal, United Province, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, and in the major part of Maharashtra, the resistance was widespread. Not only that, at many places British rule had been ended and the local government was formed. The revolutionaries established a parallel government at Ballian, that is at Uttar Pradesh, Midnapur in Bengal, Satara in Bombay, and at Ahmedabad in Gujarat. Farmers, workers, students played a major role in the Quit India movement. The government tried to suppress the movement with full strength. The press was banned. More than thousands of people shot dead in the firing. It was the highest act of tyranny ever since the Great Rebellion in 1857. A special aspect of the movement was the use of background channels for communication. Usha Mehta was looking after the underground radio station set up at Mumbai during the movement. Aruna Asaf Ali and Indira Gandhi also played a remarkable role during this movement. It was obvious from the large-scale movement that it would be impossible for the British government to overrule the Indians and to continue the rule in India. So, as the agitation was widespread, it spread all over the country. So it was difficult for the British to continue in India. Not only that, the pressure was there from the other countries, foreign countries was also there. At the international level, British had the problem. Their reputation was affecting, as on one hand they were talking about democracy, on the other hand they were dictating the ancient countries. So the pressure was there from both the sides. It was difficult for the British to manage the war front that was at their home place, the enemies which were reaching to the Indian borders, and the internal agitation, the revolution in India. It was very difficult for them to manage all these things. Indians made it difficult for them to continue their rule. I stop here. We'll discuss the other topics of the chapter in the next session. Till then, read the chapter for better understanding. And if you have any queries, talk to me. Thank you.